folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mike with Off-Road Stuff, and today we're mixing things up a little bit, and I got something really, really cool to show you guys. So hold on a second. Let me get them coming in here. Check this thing out. Man, that thing's cool. How'd you get up in there, Dick? Whoa! That was cool. Hey, Darren, why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, this rig belongs to a good friend of mine. His name is Gary, and he's been working on this Jeep for a little over 30 years.
Wow, that's a while.
And I've been personally involved with this project for about 10.
And you know what? I've, like again, me and Darren, we've been friends for a long time, and I've heard a lot of stories about this thing over the years, about some of the stuff that they've been doing on it. And man, it's great to finally see it in person. Just the stories you told me, there's no justice for it. But keep going, man. Tell us more about this thing.
Well, we've affectionately nicknamed it Super Jeep, and I think as we go through everything that's on it today, I think the fans might agree.
I think that's right there. That's pretty accurate for this thing.
As you can tell, just standing here, we got some pretty good sized tires on it. They're 42-inch. They're BFG competition stickies. We're on a 20-inch forged B-block wheel. Our axles, front and rear. Our front axle is a Dynatrac Pro Rock 60 with an ARB air locker in it. The rear axle is a Dynatrac. It's not considered a Pro Rock yet, but it's an 80, Dana 80. And then Sandy Cone, who's a local vendor here, Cone Industries, converted it over to a 5-on-5.5 with his trophy truck hubs.
Cool. We'll get some close-ups of that stuff here in a
All
minute.
of that stuff.
So I noticed that you got a little hood scoop on here. Is there any particular reason why?
This Jeep, in '74, most of these either had 304 V8s in them or the very anemic 258s. And this Jeep does not have that problem anymore.
I can tell. Well, I'm sure you guys heard when everyone in here that she's not stock under the hood.
She's not stock. And Mike, you want to grab that side over there? We can go ahead and pop the hood open. Motivation, as we discussed, is not stock. This is a all aluminum 7-liter Hemi, 426 style, 426 cubic inches, Gen 3 Hemi. It was built by Aero Racing Engines, which is now Prefix Automotive. It's rated at 540 horsepower, 540 pounds of torque.
Wow. I don't know what else to say. I mean, just wow. That's cool.
A few of the things that you see under the hood that, we're using Chrysler factory SRT management on it. We've got onboard air, compressor, big alternator, factory style air conditioning, four-row
so you roll up the windows and stay cool.
Absolutely.
That's always a plus.
Absolutely.
Well, when it's dusty out there you can roll them up from the AC on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
the owner enjoys that part
of
it.
I do too. I'm got a little spoiled with that. What else we got? Hey,
radiator?
What do you got covered up over here?
This is inevitably, even when you build the best equipment that you think you can build, failures happen, and you need to sometimes weld things back together.
Ah, man, that's cool.
So we've got a Premier Power welder.
That's cool. Yeah, it's kind of nice that you can just, even if it's just a patch job until you can get back to camp and really get in there, get to the real parts.
There was a story in summer of 2019 that the Premier Power welder, not necessarily, it was not on this rig, but another rig at the Rubicon, definitely saved the weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure. Not everybody has them, but man, the guys that do, they're everybody's best friend.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So we're just looking around. There's more. That's a idle up.
Idle up for the power welder. This is all the control valve assemblies for the air suspension.
Right.
This vehicle has air sway bars, air controlled sway bars front and rear. The sway locks.
So you're talking about the locking portion of the.
Locking portion is on air.
All right, man, that was really cool. Checking out the engine compartment. That thing's definitely a beast, and it sounds great coming in here. But it looks like you got a nice winch on here.
Yeah, this is the Warren Xeon 10,000 pound wireless remote. Nice piece, synthetic, synthetic cable.
Yeah, and that's, man, if you can afford it and they're real reasonable, definitely upgrade, because that cable is just it's a pain. It's dangerous. I just can't say enough about this stuff. I've used it, and yeah, I really love it. So anyways, just got a nice little stubby bumper on here.
Nice stubby bumper, nothing fancy, just you know, takes care of business.
Right.
Heavy built.
Oh yeah,
everything on this Jeep is heavy built.
I can see that. So it gives you exposure to your tires better.
Correct.
Access.
Access
approach
to the
angle.
box, approach angle. Correct.
Better approach angle.
Better approach angle. AGR steering box.
And it's got the. I noticed there's a little skid plate for the box right there.
Skid plate on it. Fox shocks. The suspension on this Jeep obviously is no longer leaf spring.
Right.
You could tell that right away when I came in. And so what Gary did is he'd been looking at all kinds of different stuff, and kind of like I did on my build, took different ideas from different Jeeps, and he really liked the appeal of the nth degree.
Right.
And so he fabricated his own nth degree.
So you're talking the like the link arm, the
link arm.
geometry aspect
Correct.
of it. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Now I noticed you got your hand there on those little hood latches. Those are kind of cool.
Yeah, these are just a pivot cam over type.
Right, but they're
style.
I don't know if you guys can see, and I'll get some closer pictures in a second. But it's adjustable right here. So, like I've mentioned this in a couple of my other videos about the hood flutter on Jeeps. It's real common. But these are real nice. They're lightweight and they're adjustable, so you can kind of get these things locked down. And they're not making that stupid little rattle, you know, as you're driving down the road on the way to the trail or whatnot.
You know, with the Highline hood, because it does have Highline hood, Highline fender style on it. It definitely stabilizes the hood.
Oh yeah, because there's not much there. But, but I like this because these fenders, like you said, they got like a roll bar tubing built into them. So being shorter tightens up the body aspect of it. So I've seen guys that just go in and cut them, which is fine, but you start losing that rigidity because you don't have the factory rolls in there, and and a lot of those ones that you see cut, if you look at them, they get some waves in them.
They get waves in them. They get cracks in them.
Yeah, and that body starts
problems.
flexing and stuff. But now that's cool. And then it ties in right here. You can see this little corner, and it teardrops down. So that makes that whole corner nice and tight, ties it all in there really good.
So when we're in here looking at, so to speak, the business end of the suspension, we've got our airbag assembly. We use a nice heavy-duty Firestone style bag.
Right.
It's got a lot of load capability, so it puts up with a lot of abuse.
Sure, you got to have that, man, because I've heard stories about this thing, and I'm sure he doesn't baby it.
Oh, absolutely not.
And by the sound of that motor, it sounds like this thing gets down the trail pretty good.
It does. It does. Fox shock remote reservoir. They've been actually custom tuned.
And there's the adjustment knob up there.
Correct.
I can see.
They've all been calibrated and valved for this vehicle for the weight, all that stuff.
And then I noticed up there's the link and stuff.
Here's the link for the sway bar. Here's the arm. This is actually the air solenoid pivot right here.
Okay, so that just basically slides up and it locks in that little knot. Yeah, here's the hoses goes in. And there's basically just a small air ram in here that pushes this block back and forth.
Correct.
And then
Very basic system.
there's the notch. So this thing slides in, locks into that notch, and then this makes this bar and this bar one through a shaft, basically like an axle shaft through there. And you flip it the other way, it pops out, and then they can move independent of each other. So you're not out with the old school trying to pull the pin. Taking those apart aren't too bad, but sometimes trying to put them back together, if you're not on flat ground, it can be a little bit of a chore. All right, so now we're on the inside, or as what'd you refer to it as earlier?
I call this the cockpit.
The
or
cockpit.
The office.
Oh, the office. Okay, yeah. So let's show us around a little bit. What's going on in here?
Well, we've got your typical dashboard. We've got the wireless remote for the winch mounted to the dash.
Oh, just a little Velcro right there?
Little Velcro.
All right.
Got a streamlight flashlight.
Hey, those are always handy.
Mounted in.
And that's wired in with the charger, so it's charging while it's on. Yep.
This is your air compressor control unit. Turns the pump on and off.
Okay.
That's the pressure gauge. We've got a 4-speed Atlas in this one.
And there's the other one right there.
And then so here's your different levers. Transmission we're running in this is a fully automatic shifted 4L80,
and then
built by Colhane Transmissions.
Then I noticed your little switches right there. Those
Correct.
are for the
air lockers, front and rear. Left side is front locker, right side is rear locker. The switch is down here. Same thing, sway bar control, front is left, rear is right. This is your air ride suspension control unit.
And what manufacturer is that?
This is off-road only,
okay.
which is Airrock.
Airrock, okay.
Airrock is who manufactures the control unit.
Right. And then we got our navigation.
Use a Lowrance system for navigation. And then Kenwood two-way communication, ham system.
Yeah, so kind of got away from the old CB, just
correct.
A little more clear, a little more power to get out.
Absolutely.
And not only that, on a lot of these new units, you can kind of have your own private channel, so to speak. So if you're on kind of like a race crew or whatever,
exactly.
You don't have to worry about interference and that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at the center console. That's all custom fab aluminum. I don't know how this is going to come out on film, guys, but man, this is pretty cool. That's cool stuff right there.
When it was originally built a few years ago, the owner of the vehicle, he fabricated all of this himself, and it was all mirror polished.
Right. Oh, I could see, but
it was actually a little bit blinding to be in here.
I can see a couple little scuffs and whatnot in here, but that says that it's being used. It's not a show Jeep.
Absolutely.
Then it's got the roll cage that's tied in through the A pillars here. You got your dash bar, kind of goes up and over. Pretty straightforward on that. A couple little grab handles up here. All right, Darren. So now we're at the back of the rig, obviously. Nice heavy bumper here. It's got the tow receiver, a couple recovery points for some D-rings, and then it kind of has this cool little like a bed thing here. What's up with that, man?
Well, as you noticed when we came in, this one's got a half cab on it.
Right.
Because the owner didn't like the full boxed-in feeling of the big
right. No,
top or whatever.
This is cool. It's a really unique
and he wanted a little bed, so 2 or 3 days on the Rubicon, you don't have all your gear beating you up inside the rig or whatever else. And so he built this cover. It's all fabricated aluminum. It's a nice piece. It's got anchors on the sides.
Yeah.
As you can see here poking out, you've got your ARB fridge.
Right, so that's cool because, and we'll get a picture here in a second, but there's a cutout for it, and it just pokes up. So when you're on a trail and you want something to drink or grab a snack, you don't have to unload everything to get to it.
Exactly.
It's right there on top. That's cool.
Exactly.
Man. So show us how this thing works.
And then we just lift it up. It is heavy. We've got the prop rod.
And that's just a good old prop rod on here.
Prop rod.
No shocks to fail or nothing like
Nothing
that.
at all like that. It's very simple. Inside here, we've got a Rotopax. We carry 4 gallons of fuel here. We got 5 gallons of fuel here. We've shoehorned in one of the Genrite aluminum high-capacity tanks.
Okay.
But as you can imagine, a 7-liter Hemi can get a little bit, little bit hungry out on the trail.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we've got enough.
Yeah.
We've got a fold-down tailgate. It's got a really nice heavy cap on it, so it turns into a nice work cabinet. If you need a shelf to work on.
Right.
And then the standard bill of fare of trail gear.
All right. So just a couple of boxes in here, miscellaneous tools.
Yeah, I mean they're all pretty labeled. I mean we got spare bolts and hardware and you name it.
I see a shovel
and strap and rags and. Again, like most of us, this rig probably carries way more equipment than it needs.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes I go through mine and I'm like, I got too much stuff in here. But then you start going through it and you're like, but what if we need that? Because there's like that one time, that it saved your ass or it saved somebody.
Exactly.
So I understand it's hard to kind of thin it out sometimes.
Of course, we put a stiffener across the back to support the quarter panels. All of the body sides are 3/16 plating, steel plating.
Oh yeah, I see it's got caps on it.
Yeah, it's got caps all the way around. Everything is capped. The entire body is. And again, coming back to the motor aspect of it, we weighed this Jeep a while back, and it actually weighs about 6,700 pounds.
Wow.
So it's a little on the heavy side.
Yeah. But it sounds like she's got enough horsepower to get her around. So that's all right, folks. Well, thanks again, Darren, for showing us around this rig here, and You know, too bad that Gary couldn't make it to do it himself, but you did a great job. I can tell that you've been involved and you got some passion for this thing. You know, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to that's helped you guys in this thing?
You know, Mike, there's been so many people involved in this project over the course that there's not really any one particular person, but there is one major shout out. There's a gentleman here local in the Paso Robles area. His name's Neil Bonatti, and he goes by B Naughty Performance.
I think I've heard that name once or twice.
When it comes to modern engine programming, LS type motors, the Gen 3 Hemis, the guy really knows his business. He was able to really get the fuel trim, engine trim dialed in for us where we needed to be.
Right. Well, from the way you're talking, it really sounded like you guys may have been in a pickle on that situation.
Yeah, we were in a pretty tight bind. Some things didn't work out the way that we had anticipated, and he came to the plate and was a home run hit for us.
Oh, that's good to know. So there again, you guys need anything, hit him up. Sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
And along with, I'm looking at all your stickers and decals, and we talked about a couple people. Some of these guys are local.
Cone Industries here, local in Templeton. Colleen Transmissions out of Southern California.
Right.
Dynatrack Off-Road.
Right, they're out of Southern California too.
Exactly.
Atlas
here in Paso Robles, they stepped up with the transfer case.
You guys, we've given shout outs to them in the past because almost every Jeep that I've come across so far has got one of those in there, so it's good.
Absolutely does.
Yeah,
absolutely does.
All right. Well, there again, Darren. Thanks a lot, buddy.
You're very welcome, Mike.
And
thank you,
guys. This is Mike with Off Road Stuff. My buddy Darren. And don't forget, thumbs up, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Darren, that means you too. You got to get your buddy involved, get his buddies to watch the show, like,
Absolutely.
subscribe. And off camera, we were talking, and it sounds like, along with him, you guys got a couple other rigs that are floating around the air that might be worth looking at too?
Probably so, yeah.
All right, so we're going to try to get with those guys, get them lined up.
Yeah.
And anyways, you guys, be good. Be safe. We'll see you on the trail.